My name is Myron Robinson. I am the chairman of the Public Policy Committee of Gamma Xi Boule of Sigma Pi Phi fraternity. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here with us for this important luncheon. Later in the program, you will hear about our Journey to Success program. It's a collaboration with Career Source, Suncoast, and the Boule. The program will engage us all as mentors and as resources to assist our youth in their development. The Boule has become a big tent, and we have many partners who I would like to mention. Our main strategic partner is Career Source Suncoast with Mary Helen Kress and Ted Ehrlichman, who are chair and vice chair of Suncoast. Could you give them a round of applause? And the whole team from Suncoast. They continue to be in the vanguard of change and inclusion. Other strategic partners and other partners that we have. Doctors Hospital of Sarasota, the Sarasota County Sheriff's Department, and incidentally, earlier today, the Sheriff's Department came up to me and I got a little nervous, and I started to tell them to talk to Mr. Taylor back there. But anyway, they sent us a check for $10,000 for this event. And I just want to say thank you so very much for your continued partnership, and we look forward to continuing to serve the youth of our communities, Manatee and Sarasota County. Gateway Bank, Sean Merriman, a tremendous entrepreneur, a tremendous leader in this community. Sean and I serve on Doctors Hospital Board of Directors. Sean is the chair, I'm the vice chair. But he has done so much to deal with partnerships, and he has adopted schools in Sarasota County. Just done so many good things, and we look forward to a real strong relationship with Sean. Sean, would you and your group please stand for a round of applause? Sarasota, Manatee County School Districts, they're here today. Democratic Party of Sarasota, Florida House of Representatives, Second Chance, Last Opportunity, Pathway Christian Fellowship with Reverend Willie Hawley as the chair, Asala with Mark Jackson, he's probably still trying to get in, Take Stock in Children with Diane Hawley, she's here, First Congregational United Church of Christ of Sarasota, under the leadership of Reverend Wes Bixby. And Reverend Bixby is new to the area, and he's my minister, and I'm a part of his church, of course. And I asked him to come by here so he could have a chance to meet you, and you could have a chance to meet him. Reverend Bixby, would you please stand for a round of applause? And we're extremely happy this afternoon to have Manatee Educational TV here with us today. And they're here really in large measure because of the work of Brother Henry Blyton, who really was a guy behind the idea of putting this on camera, and also to keep it for history, because we think it's going to be historic in terms of what you hear here today. We, as a fraternity of brothers, did not want to pass up this opportunity. without introducing ourselves to you and to the citizens of Southwest Florida. So it is my privilege to introduce our Emeritus Boule member, Dr. Bernard Watson, who is on everyone's who's list. Dr. Watson is a historian, a filmmaker, author, philanthropist, civil rights leader, and most importantly, Bernie, as we refer affectionately to him, is a gentleman. Over the past 50 years, Bernie has taught young men and women through example, not lecture, but through example. He taught us how to dress, and you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. He taught us the value of research. He taught us the value of establishing relationships and cultivating relationships. He taught us how to love ourselves and how to love others. He is truly a living, breathing example of the men of Sigma Pi fraternity. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you one of my great mentors, Dr. Bernard Watson. Bernie.
Thank you very much. The check's in the mail. It is my duty, since nobody ever says no to Myron, to tell you a little bit about Sigma Pi Phi. This fraternity was founded May 15th, 1904, and I'm the only one here who was alive at that time. It is the oldest of the African-American fraternities in this country, and it was conceived and founded by the following people, and I want you to hear their names: Henry Minton, Algernon Jackson, Edward Howard, Richard Warwick, Eugene Hickson, and Robert Abilene. There were 4 MDs in that group, and the rest were dentists, DDSs. And they came together in Philadelphia to form this organization to do all the things you're going to hear about in a minute, but also so they would have some place to get together and enjoy each other's company. In 1904, you couldn't go to the hotels in Philadelphia. You couldn't eat in the restaurants in Philadelphia. You couldn't live in the neighborhoods, whether you could afford the housing or not in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia wasn't the only place like that, by the way. That was the way America was at those times. So these men got together so that they could share each other's history, their company, and to have their wives spend time with them. And they met in each other's houses because those were the most hospitable places they could find. Now, these were men of towering intellect to have degrees of that kind in that time in this country. The minimum education requirement for Sigma Pi Phi is a baccalaureate degree from an accredited institution of higher education. Everybody in this organization has at least one additional degree, and many have multiple graduate degrees. At first, this was a private organization. You couldn't even acknowledge that it existed except among the members there. In 1971, when I was inducted into this organization in Philadelphia, the founding chapter, Alpha, we couldn't even acknowledge that the organization existed. We met for dinner and meetings once a month, and we wore tuxes. No suits, a tuxedo, full dress, and our wives dressed appropriately, the wives who we called our kusai. That's the history of this organization. But then America changes. And as America changes in the social and civic environment, Sigma Pi Phi understood that they had to do more to share their gifts, their resources, their ideas, their energy, their courage with others. And so they began to deal with motivation of youth, to have professional research into black life and culture in this country, and to support specific programs in the civil rights and the civil action agenda, preferably those conceived with one idea, the elimination of segregation in education in this country, because they understood, as we understand now, that education is the primary gateway to your own personal freedom as American citizens, to control of your own life as sensate, participating individuals, and as members of the larger community. So that foundation was established in 1980. I remember when it started, and I remember the discussions that went on among Boule members about whether or not we should be getting into that area publicly. But those of us who believed in it, led by people like Leon Higginbotham and others, said we had to do that. It was our responsibility, and we did. And they began to support organizations that were involved in the struggle. The United Negro College Fund, National Urban League, the Legal Defense Fund, and others too numerous to name. And it led to the break in secrecy of Sigma Pi Phi, and that occurred in the first press conference at a national conference in Detroit in 1982. Since that time, Boule has grown. Sigma Pi Phi has grown. You hear me say Boule, and I will explain to you where that came from at the end of these comments. They established a journal in 1963, which was circulated among the members. And the late Archon Matt Carter, whom everybody who's associated with this either knew or knew about before he passed, was the editor of that journal until his death. The fraternity is organized into 5 regions: the Northeast, Southeast, Pacific, Western, and Central. In 1970, the year before I was inducted into the fraternity, there were 42 Boules, and there were only 879 members in the entire United States. By 1992-97, we had expanded to 97 Boules with 3,254 archons or members. And in 2014, the latest count that I have, you have 4,469 members or archons of this fraternity. Many of them much younger, because that is the future. Among the archons you may have heard of and not known about their affiliations: W. Burghardt Du Bois, Carter G. Woodson, Benjamin Mays, Charles Wesley, John Hope Franklin, Martin Luther King Jr., A. Leon Higginbotham, Damian Keith, Andrew Young, Cliff Wharton, Percy Julian, Vernon Jordan, and Gardner Taylor. The modern agenda of this organization is to reinforce what those Greek letters represent. 1, congeniality; 2, tolerance; and 3, constructive effort. The structure and organization of this of Sigma Pi Phi grew out of Greek history and tradition. In ancient Greece, the Boule was an advisory council of elders. Later on, it became a representative assembly with legislative and administrative duties. In ancient Greece, it was a council of the chiefs. And those were the noblemen and the leading families of Greece. In the time of Homer, it was a body of princes who advised the king. And in Solon's time, the Athenian Boule was the Senate of elected men who numbered 400 and prepared bills for action by the assembly. In modern times, the Boule was the lower house of parliament and consisted of a body of 250 men. What Gamma Xi, as one Boule among the many in Sigma Pi Phi, chooses to do is to carry out what the three elements of Greek letters represent: congeniality, tolerance, and constructive effort to help our young people, to make our communities better, to enjoy the benefits of each other's company and talents, and more importantly, to make the opportunities available in this country to everybody as a right of their God-given birth. I thank you.
Thank you so much for that lesson. We all needed to hear it. And now we will have the invocation with Reverend Brother Jesse Anderson. Reverend Anderson.
May we bow our heads and call upon God by whatever name we choose. Lord God, you who are the creator, the liberator, and the sustainer, we just thank you for this wonderful day that you have given us. We thank you for this wonderful area in which we live and journey. We thank you most especially, Lord, that you have chosen to shower down the wisdom and talent to put together this Journey to Success program, which is bringing together, for the first time, a diverse group of community groups. We ask that you will assist us in serving your young people, that you will continue to lead us in these efforts and those that are still to come. And finally, Lord, as we have joined together, we ask your blessings upon our speaker and upon the food which comes from the bounty of your earth. But as we receive of that bounty, may we always remember those who go without, and that we are able to serve them as your Son was. These things we ask in your holy name. And the gathered body said, Amen.
My name is Vincent Fotheringham. I am a member of the Public Policy Committee for Gamma Xi Boule, and I'm also the chairman of the Speaker Series Luncheon, and I am blessed, fortunate, and privileged to be a member of this prestigious fraternity. And as Dr. Watson said earlier today, this is really about one of our principles in terms of constructive effort. So what you will hear today and throughout the rest of our program is all about Gamma Xi Boule's constructive effort to help our communities. A couple of housekeeping things that I wanted to take care of, and that's we want to recognize a couple of people. Robin DeSabatino from Manatee County Commission. Robin. Carolyn Mason from Sarasota County Commission. And another one of our strategic partners, Valerie Stanford, COO of Doctors Hospital. The objective of the Luncheon Speaker Series is to bring to the forefront issues of political, social, and economic matters that affect our communities, and that are those within Manatee and Sarasota County. And this is really about putting together a plan of action that will serve as a catalyst for change. And Gamma Xi Boule wants to serve as that catalyst with all of our strategic partners within the community. What I'd like to do next is to introduce the president of our local Boule, Bill Watkins, to introduce our featured speaker for today. Bill.
Thank you, Vincent. Myron Robinson thanked everybody, but it's time to thank him. He has chaired our Public Policy Committee, which has really launched the Speaker Series. This is the second year, and it's growing. And it was really through the work of his committee that the Journey to Success program partnership with the Suncoast workforce began. So I think we owe him a real round of applause. Let's do it. Our speaker, Darrell Roussan, was raised in St. Petersburg, Florida, and graduated from Xavier University and the University of Florida's School of Law. He has practiced law in St. Petersburg and served as president of the St. Petersburg branch of the NAACP. He was Pinellas County's first African-American assistant state attorney. A recovering addict, he is a former chair of the National Bar Association's Substance Abuse Task Force. He was elected to the Florida House of Representatives in 2008, representing a sprawling District 55 that includes parts of Pinellas and Hillsborough counties, as well as parts of Sarasota, Bradenton, and Palmetto. A former House Democratic leader and former Republican who supported both Jeb Bush and Charlie Crist for governor, he maintains ties to both sides of the aisle. In his 6th year in the legislature, he serves on the House Appropriations Committee and is the ranking Democrat on 3 other panels. He sees his role as giving voice to those in his district who may be overlooked in politics. Poverty issues, preparing nonviolent offenders for reentry, and substance abuse recovery programs are among his priorities. He's married to Angela Holmes Roussan and has 8 children. Please join me in giving a warm Gamma Xi Boule welcome to Representative Darrell Roussan.
Thank you so kindly, Brother Watkins, for that introduction. I always like when they're short, because then you don't have a whole lot to live up to. And I'm very glad to be here today. I'm often invited places to speak. I've learned at my stage and age of life just to speak my truth. Sometimes I'm not invited back. But I take advantage when I can come and just share. I am particularly pleased to be in the presence of this Boule. I have often said that I will live 10,000 lifetimes and search 10,000 worlds, and maybe one day my blood will be blue enough to be in the Boule. But if it don't, this is the first time in my career that I've been invited to speak to such an august gathering of men. I am also very full today. Today is significant in many respects. May 9th, 1979, my father, who was my best friend in life, dropped dead of a heart attack at Palm Beach Junior College on campus. He was in a meeting with a white member of the faculty that had decided they weren't going to work for a black administrator. And the president of the college had called a meeting. He was the first black vice president in the history of Florida's 26 community colleges at the time, to discuss this issue. And he said he wasn't feeling very well and stood up and walked out and had a massive heart attack right outside the president's office. And there I was at the University of Florida 2 weeks before final exams, my first year at the flagship University of Racism, the university where Stephen O'Connell wrote the opinion and said Virgil Hawkins could not attend and he would not be responsible for the damage that would occur to the university if they admitted a black student. May 9th, 1979. 9. May 9th, 1980. Some of you may have seen the news today. 34 years ago today, the Skyway Bridge collapsed. 31 lives were lost. I'll never forget the story of Chip Calloway, a mechanical engineering student at Tuskegee who had missed a bus earlier and was trying to get home on spring break to his family. And he happened to catch the wrong Greyhound that day. They named the tennis tournament at Tuskegee after him because he was quite a young man, caught up in the circumstance. And May 9th, 1986, in fact, I spoke to my daughter Giselle today, and I thanked her for bringing me joy on a day that otherwise had memories of sadness. Today is her 28th birthday. And so today is significant, not just for those reasons, but I'm back home from Tallahassee, the great country and land, and sometimes foreign land, if you will, of Tallahassee. And I can't say everything I want to say because there's press in the room. I am on camera. And like every smart legislator knows, between now and July 1, you better keep it tight. Because there's a man up there with an ink pen. I'm not talking about the good Lord. I'm talking about the good governor. And the power of the veto pen might leave some communities wanting another year. Sometimes they say discretion is the better part of valor. But I was invited today to talk about youth and to challenge the Boule and understand how its history as a civil rights organization, fraternity, with a civil action agenda, with themes like congeniality, tolerance, and for me most important, and constructive effort. And I thought about what I would say to these men of the Boule, and for a moment I'm going to pretend there's no one else in the room but us. Because I thought about an article that published in the St. Petersburg Times in 2001 where it said that Congress spent $10 million doing a study nationally, the results of which were they declared that the black juvenile was 6 times more likely to suffer harsher punishment at every stage of the juvenile justice system than his white male counterpart. Now, they could have gave me $1 million, and I'd have told them that. And then I thought about 2007, when my predecessor, Frank Peterman, filed a bill with the legislature that created the Council on the Social Status of Black Boys and Men. And in it, as the preamble and the foundation, it said that we had to look at the physical and mental health of these boys and men, their unemployment rate, their incarceration rate, their dropout rate for education, and that the leading cause of death for black males between the ages of 15 and 34, with 4,412 such victims, was murder. The Urban League came out with the complexity of black progress, and they even talked about civil engagement. They pointed to the fact that poverty, even though it was still existing, poverty in and of itself rarely kills. Few people drop dead in the streets from hunger or exposure to the elements, but poverty produces a range of physical and psychological stresses, and some of these reactions come out in behaviors, and this is what leads to destruction. In fact, in Pinellas County, the county commission did a study, and they determined that there were 5 pockets of poverty in Pinellas County in 2013. And the largest pocket of poverty is in the heart of my district in St. Pete, Midtown, where we spend over $1 billion on 30,000 people who live below the poverty level because of health care, lack of, public safety issues, education issues, failing schools. And this year I was able to convince the legislature through a program we call the Agenda 2020 to bring some money back to that heart of my district that will hopefully eradicate poverty by 30% over the next 5 years. And it was almost heresy when I saw Speaker Will Weatherford on YouTube preaching to chambers of commerce all over this state about the importance of eradicating poverty. And when I invited him to St. Pete and put him in my car and drove him around Midtown and let him see some things that mirror the Memphis area of Manatee, that mirror the Newtown area of Sarasota, it touched his heart. And we were able to do something about it. But in 2007, they created this council on the social status of black boys and men because we were losing them. And the charge of the council in 2007 was, it shall make a systematic study of the conditions affecting black boys and men. It shall propose measures, either legally or otherwise, that will help root this out. It shall receive suggestions or comments, and it shall do an annual report. And that was it. That was the charge. Because of the conditions that existed in 2007. So let's fast forward to the legislative session of 2014, when House Bill 595 was filed by Representative Allen Williams, who chaired the Black Caucus in Tallahassee. And the aim of this bill would be to revamp the council. The council became one of those organizations, and you probably are not familiar with these, but they met and ate. And they studied. And they task forced themselves to the point where some quit showing up. So this new bill provided the opportunity to put teeth into an organization that for 7 years was meeting, eating, and studying. It said that the charge should be to remove the barriers to healthy lifestyles, ensure a commitment to education and lifelong learning, address the disproportionately high rate of unemployment and unstable economic conditions, address crime prevention and criminal justice issues that adversely and disproportionately affect black men, and promote community awareness, and have an annual convention where it could come with solutions. This bill, House Bill 595, passed every committee in the House unanimously. In fact, for the first time, the revamp of the council would have authorized it to use funds. Get that? Spend money. And after it passed off the floor of the House It got sent over to the Senate. I mean, that's the process, right? It's got to pass both chambers before it gets to the governor. And in the wee hours of May 2nd, approximately 10:39 p.m., Friday night, May 2nd, it died. This bill would have even allowed those who didn't come to the meetings to be removed and replaced, instead of waiting till a staggered term. So where are we today? What has changed? Black boys are still more likely arrested and prosecuted and incarcerated. And somebody asked me, well, Ruslan, you're a recovering addict. You're 16 years, 1 month, 2 weeks, and 4 days clean. Why would you support medical marijuana? And if you go to the video and listen to my debate, I give you my rationale of why I voted up on Charlotte's Web. And what I said was, I'm not worried about Charlotte's Web, the oil, the capsule that will help 125,000 children with intractable epilepsy have an alternative other than removing half of their brains. I'm worried about Pandora's box. I'm worried about the amendment coming up in November, which is more expansive. In fact, to be honest with you, black boys are 7 to 10 times more likely arrested, prosecuted, and incarcerated for a joint than their white male counterparts. And if there's ever an argument for legalization that has a racist bend to it, can I just be honest with you? That would be my argument. But what has changed? The dropout rate has not been significantly changed. And I am Trayvon Martin. That might sound strange to you, but in the 7th grade at St. Paul's Catholic School in St. Petersburg, Florida, I was at home with my 3 sisters and my mama. My daddy, who had 2 master's degrees and was working on his PhD from Florida State, had taken off to go live in Rogers Hall in Tallahassee on Florida State's campus to write his dissertation in peace so he wouldn't be around the kids and mama and everything. And I cut up in school. I mean, I cut up. I didn't want to be in the house with all these girls. And my mama did what Trayvon's mama did. My mama called my daddy and said, if you don't come get this boy, we're going to kill him. And I went and spent 10 days in Rogers Hall on Florida State's campus with my daddy, feeling like I was big man on campus. And that's what Trayvon's daddy was there for. It was to help correct him, to talk with him, to counsel with him, father the son, man the boy. It's just a good thing I didn't walk across the street into Frenchtown or Tallahassee with a hoodie on and someone mistake me for being in the wrong place. Look, we got Jordan Davis in Jacksonville, and what has changed in the 7 years that the Social Council on the status of black boys and men have done? And that's my challenge to you. You know, there's got to be fairness too. In fact, Governor Scott, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was born black in America. Governor Scott has had over 140 judicial appointments since he became governor. 6 have been black, and 2 were only reappointments. 4 were new. And in all of 2013, 43 judges were appointed statewide and not 1 was black. And 2 weeks ago, Jacksonville, Duval County, which has never, ever, never, ever, ever, did I say never? had a black female circuit judge like Sarasota and like Pinellas and like Hillsborough and like 2 black lawyers made it to the 10 that went to Tallahassee to interview for 2 open circuit judges. And we sent a message to Governor. Governor, this could be your bragging right that black lawyers can read. That we took the same bar exam. And some of us went to the Florida State University or the University of Florida and deserve an opportunity to serve on the bench. But neither of the black applicants made it. And the message that goes out to the Virgil Hawkins Bar Association, to the National Bar Association, and to African American lawyers in this state is you need not apply. That, I don't know about you, but that's hurtful. What has changed? The Boule has a Journey to Success program. What is the journey? And what will the success be? And under your charge, during your time, will you show up? You talk about partnerships. And Sheriff, thank you for what the agency has done. And there's been a mistrust in the African American community many times for law enforcement. But the truth of the matter is, what we want is for you to do your job professionally, do it safely, and make it home to your family at the end of the day. Partnerships, advocacy, getting involved, call to action, mentoring. That's the challenge I give the Boule. And last time I checked, I think I heard it today also, you're smart enough, with enough degrees and access to influence to make a difference, a real difference, and it's needed. I'm raising 5 boys. In fact, I have to give my wife credit for all the time that I spend away. And my 2 older boys, I have decided, Sheriff, I'm gonna let them live another year. No, based on their behaviors, who would blame me? But my daddy let me live. And so that's the message that I bring today. And we've got to mentor like we've never mentored before. We've got to advocate like we've never advocated before. We've got to partner with people who understand the success that comes with true partnerships. We've got to vote. We've got to turn out the electorate. This, my friends, is our season. I heard that song in the car coming over. This is our season for greatness and not mediocrity. It's our season for excellence, not perfection. It's our season to accept the challenge of living, and the price of being here is service and giving back. Thank you.
we're going to do this. We're going to talk about next steps that we're going to be doing as an organization, and then we'll have questions and answers and comments coming forth after that. And so we'll open up at that time. But everyone who we talked about being our partner and being part of our initiative, we want to take pictures of this initiative afterwards. And so if you could meet over here, everybody that we mentioned, then we want to take pictures of everyone. But now it's my privilege to bring to the podium Mr. Gregory McDaniels, who is head of our Social Action Committee. You know, it's one thing to talk. Wait a minute. I think I got it right. But it's one thing to talk, and we're going to take the plaque, pictures of the plaques and everything after Mr. McDaniels get finished. But it's one thing to talk and talk about public policy, and there's another thing to take action. And being who we are, we thought through the action part of that. And the national Boule as well as the local Boule has an action component. And we have a great leader in Mr. McDaniels who has really led us. He's going to talk a little bit about our partnership and also our initiative. Gregory?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Greg McDaniel, co-chairperson of the Gamma Xi Boule Social Action Committee. And as all other Boule members, a concerned resident of our community. Now that you've heard Representative Roussan talk about the issues of youth in the community, it becomes even more clear that one of the hottest topics that we are addressing today in our society as a whole is the state of our youth. No one can question or doubt that. I'm sure you'd agree that youth today have significant challenges, peer pressures, that can impact on their future and the future of our communities long term. The statistics speak for themselves. I had a list of statistics that I was going to go through, but after listening to Representative Roussan, I'm not going to waste your time going through them because we know they're all bad. The residual impact of our young people engaging in criminal activity, children having children, and not being prepared for the workforce provides an ever-increasing chance of an ongoing cycle of poverty in our community, never ending. Just think about the difficulties of a single young parent trying to successfully navigate school, finding and working a job, and trying to raise their children. Think about what that's like every day of your life. So, what are the next steps? That's what I'm up here to talk about. The Gamma Xi Boule has partnered with Career Source Suncoast to create what we think is a very exciting program. The program is named Journey to Success. In this program, we will work in collaboration with the school boards and community partners to proposing a year-round work readiness and career development program to serve youths ages 14 through 19 through a 4-phase process over a 4-year period that results in a skilled workforce ready to obtain and retain 2 very important descriptors, in-demand occupations, and begin to build successful careers, not just jobs, but careers. A summer pilot program will begin on June 9th and run through July 17th with youth from both Manatee and Sarasota counties. They will participate in an in-depth career exploration and training program focusing on in-demand occupations. In addition, the youth will attend workshops related to financial literacy, life skills, employability, work readiness, occupational opportunities, and group mentoring conducted by members of the Gamma Xi Boule. The youth will receive stipends based on their individual daily attendance and participation. Lunch will be provided during all program days. To assist in assuring attendance, bus passes and gas cards will be available to those who have the need. So these are the next steps for now. This is what we are focusing on today and tomorrow. This program can make a difference, but it will need everyone's support, not just the Gamma Xi Boule, but everyone in this community. It's our community, it's our country, it's our world. Please join us in our journey to success and contribute your time, your talent, or financially to the future of today's youth. There are pledge cards that you'll see on your table. Please fill out one, and we'll be more than happy to contact you to discuss your involvement in our program. And thank you very much for taking the time to come today and to listen today. God bless.
Thank you. And I would ask Representative Roussan to please come forth for a presentation of a token of our appreciation. I would also ask Brother George Mims, Dr. Mims, to come forth, as well as our leader, our president, Bill Watkins. And can we get a picture, please? This is Al Washington, the photographer.
You want to do it in front of the podium?
You want to go in front?
See, you a hot item. I have to watch you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard our vision. We want to thank Representative Roussan because he understands the vision as well as we do. That is why we ask him to share with us on this occasion. We are delighted in Sigma Pi Phi, Gamma Xi Boule, to present him with an appreciation of his continuous support. The only thing I want you to do is place this in a prominent place, so when I come to your office again, I can bow. But we are delighted, Darrell, for all that you've said. You have seen the vision. Our journey has been explained, and we are all with delight and commitment in this fraternity, prepared to serve the cause in empowering the youth who may not even know that they will be involved in this wonderful journey. Thank all of you, and thank the men of Sigma Pi Phi. Thank you very much.